What's up, guys? So today we are looking at my 11 unique Sure2Win Blitz teams. I did a poll on YouTube yesterday, and the results are in. You guys wanted to see the new unique Sure2Win Blitz teams, so we're going to check them out. So I just did this rotation, and I recorded it so this way I can explain what's going on. And with 11 straight wins, all of which are in tier 8.3, I was able to bring in just over 500,000 Blitz points in one rotation. So let's check it out. So I will be pausing it at various points, and I am going to be explaining the lower tier teams a bit more. Some of the teams later on in the video don't require much explanation, but a perfect example is this one. So again, you're seeing them in reverse power order. So the ones down here tend to involve a good amount of leftover characters, because the characters that have very clear teams like the Brotherhood and Fury Shield, those are up towards the top. So keep in mind too that if you're not able to run as many teams, you might want to run a stronger version of these teams. But because I have characters who would be better on this team, for example, but they're already assigned to other teams, I have to make do with what I have. But all of these teams are sufficient to reliably win over and over again in tier 8.3. But you can, of course, have a team that doesn't have to be as selective with their matchups. But so starting with this one, this relies on a few synergies. The first thing is it's relying on a lot of innate defense. You have Crossbones, who's like a pseudo tank who has death proof. You have Kingpin, who gives 2-turn defense up to everybody. You have Hand Sentry, who gives stealth and evades. You have two different summoners, Nobu and Kingpin. Kingpin's summons will taunt, and then Crossbones can taunt if you need. Hand Sentry, when he uses his special, is kind of like a soft taunt, and then Nobu summons, although they don't taunt, if an enemy uses a big single target attack on a Nobu summon, it saves you taking that damage to an actual vital character on the team, so that's a form of defense. And then Hawkeye even has blinds for all the enemies, so they have a lot of defense. In terms of offense, Kingpin's passive provides a lot of assists, and there's 4 villains on the team, so they're going to get a lot of assists. And then Hawkeye naturally does high damage. You have a few AoEs. You've got Hawkeye's AoE and the Crossbones AoE, and of course the Kingpin Crossbones combo is awesome because you have an offensed up Crossbones AoE, which does a ton of damage. So yeah, the main reason that Hawkeye is on this team is the Dispel. This team kind of has like 1.5 Dispellers. Hawkeye will do like a cluster Dispel, like a splash damage Dispel, but it's a very potent one. And then Nobu has the ability to summon Hand Archers, and that's a team-wide AoE Dispel, if you can get one. So it's like 1.5 Dispels, but between all the synergy from the Kingpin and the offense ups, extra damage, and the 2 different summoning characters, and then all the innate defense, this team tends to do alright just, you know, using their raw power. So I'll go ahead and speed this up a little bit. I do have to be kind of choosy with some of the matchups, so like we don't want to fight a defender team, but I see this team, and this is only punching up about 50,000 power, so this isn't too bad. So go ahead and speed this load up. Alright, looks like we're loading in. So again, I'm not going to break down all the fights for every single team, because that would make this video take a while, and you know, you guys don't need me to break down Fury Shield, but on this one, to get an idea for how to use the team, I was debating if I wanted to dispel some of the speed ups, but I determined really the only important taunt to break is Captain America's, so I'll save that dispel. So they hit us really hard early, but you can see Sentry had an assist there, but Sentry plus Nobu is an excellent combo for the reason you just saw, which is that it protects those summons by hiding them immediately. And so we're able to make use of those summons damage to take out Quake immediately. And we want to take out Quake immediately so we don't have to deal with those slows. Hawkeye misses his passive, which is one of the only things he can miss, and then he hits pretty hard. And between the bleeds and the stuns here on Kingpin, he's in for a rough time. But we have the offensed up Crossbones AoE, which does quite a bit of damage to Black Widow, which allows us to take her out. Hawkeye fires his blinds, but we have a Hawkeye as well, so go ahead and do the same thing. And Spider-Man is not able to evade Hawkeye. Go ahead and use the counters from Nobu so that his turn, even though he's blind, isn't wasted. Go ahead and take out Spider-Man with Crossbones, and then just finish off this Hawkeye. Our Kingpin succumbed to his bleeds here, but you can see we're down to a 4-on-1, so this match is in the bag. And then late game Nobu he's able to go ahead and call more summons. When I say late game, I just mean later in the fight. The cooldown comes back around and he can call more summons. Then we go ahead and finish off Captain America. He hangs on there a bit at the end, as he's known to do, but not too bad. So there's the first win in 8-3. And we'll go ahead and fast forward this part. Alright, so now you'll get to see choosing the next team. And this is a tech team. So I'll go ahead and pause here. So again, just like with the previous team that you saw, there are stronger Kingpin Crossbones villain comps. Well, there are stronger tech comps as well. But because I have characters already assigned to other teams, like Rocket and Star-Lord are excellent on this team, but of course they're already part of a Guardians team. So this is a good enough tech team to reliably win an 8-3 in Blitz. And the heart and soul of any tech team is, of course, Vision with his passive, but this team has a ton of control. You have Vision with his offense down, you have Ant-Man with 2-turn ability block, and with team-wide slow, it can slow 10 people. You have Wasp with a stun, you have War Machine with an offense down, and you have Korath with a slow, an ability block, a heal block, so you have tons of control effects. And then a hidden perk to this team, not only do they start with the 2 turns of defense up from the Vision passive, but they have a lot of AoE. Ant-Man has an AoE which is enhanced by Wasp. Wasp has her own AoE. Vision has an AoE. And then War Machine has 2 different abilities that do splash damage and AoE. So just in terms of raw offense and defense, you're good. And then in terms of utility, Dispel, Ant-Man's basic will steal any buff that isn't taunt or, you know, like evade or deflect, and give it to himself and Wasp. And then Vision has a really, really potent AoE Dispel. So go ahead and see here, speed that up a little bit. So I have to be a little bit selective about the matchups, but I find one that shouldn't be too much trouble, so go ahead and speed up this load time. Alright, so we start off, and again, just like last time, Quake is the major threat here. Want to take out Quake, so go ahead and chunk her. Don't get the ability block, but I'm fine with that. I actually prefer that she doesn't land any slows. I do want to land the bleed on Crossbones right away. I save the Wasp special in case I need to use it as a stun. I wait for her to get charged, which is what just happened. Go ahead and let loose that special. And Ant-Man's ult will 2-turn slow the primary target, so I made sure to hit Crossbones so that he's still slow. And we go ahead and call for the assist there. So it's safe to go ahead and use this Dispel because no one else is going to be taunting. So no one will pull the aggro away. I think about stunning him here with Wasp, but then I realize it's probably more effective to just unleash the AoE combo. So I let Wasp AoE because I know he's slowed, so we're going to get back around to him. I forgot about War Machine's passive where I'd have to kill Gamora, but it's not a big deal because we let loose the War Machine AoE. And I know I can finish him off with a Korath basic. So I have his ability block, but even if his ability block failed, we had the Wasp stun and still had the 2-turn Ant-Man ability block and had the offense down from War Machine that we just used, so we were safe from that Crossbones explosion. Very, very safe from it, so let's go ahead and finish Wolverine off here. Of course he revives, because why wouldn't he? And take him out. And so that's the second win here in 8-3. So I'll go ahead and speed this up. Alright, so I'm going on to the third team here, and I will talk about this team when I use it, but part of having a Sure2Win team, some teams are more compatible for certain matchups than others. So you'll see here that I'm browsing for matchups with the Scree team, and I will go into detail on why I picked this Scree team, but you'll see that was a team with Punisher. This is a full defender team with Punisher. And this is another team that has Drax so that I can't get to Punisher with a Black Widow to speed him up. So taking all villains in a Punisher is not something I was looking to do when I'm trying to punch up like 40 to 50,000 power. So I end up just going to the next team and coming back to this one. Sometimes you don't get any good matchups. That's okay. Just go to another team and come back. So I go to the standard Guardian team, and I don't think you guys need me to tell you that the Guardian team is sure to win, but if you didn't know, the Guardian team is sure to win. You can, of course, use Mantis in place of most of the Guardians. Star-Lord is a big part of the Guardian team, though, so I would say it's risky running a Guardian team in Blitz without Star-Lord. It's still very possible to win with them, but Star-Lord is a big part of it. But pretty much any other Guardian can be dropped, and you won't have too much trouble. So I'll speed this match up a little bit because it's not too important. We try to focus out Punisher there. Blind him, since I know that'll give Rocket the energy to AoE, so it's the same as Punisher being dead because he was blinded for the ult, and then I know that the Rocket AoE will take him out before he gets another turn. So there's the Rocket AoE. And then have the Star-Lord ult, go ahead and finish him out. I try to get a little greedy and I don't get the reset on Daredevil, but that's okay. Just go ahead and take her out, and yeah, pretty much just finish the job. So there you have the third win in 8-3. And let's speed it up. So now I do go back to the Kree team, I believe. Alright, so I will talk about why this Kree team. I will be doing a separate video on Kree teams, but here's what you need to know about the Kree and Blitz. While it's certainly possible to win with a nice wide variety of Kree teams in Blitz, the core, I feel, of what makes a Kree team work in Blitz, you want Ronin, you want Kree Noble, and then you want either Oracle or Minerva, because Ronin's healing alone is not quite enough, and at the end of the day, what the Kree do well is they're a really good defensive team via sustain. So as long as you have Minerva or Oracle, then you're good there. The other two spots, it's really flexible. I absolutely could have used Royal Guard or Cyborg. I brought in Reaper. I didn't have to use Thanos. You can use Kingpin. You can use Captain America. It doesn't much matter. You can use, you know, 2 of the damage dealers or a tank. It doesn't much matter. The reason I chose these 2 is because they're worth the most points in Blitz. It's that simple. I knew that I'd be fine with those 2 on the team, and they're worth enough points. So they got the spots over other people. If Cyborg had been worth more points than Thanos, I would have run him. It doesn't much matter, but so anyway, that's oh, I didn't unpause it. That's all you need to know about the Korean Blitz. So again, don't really want to fight Defenders teams, so I just go with this one because it's a non-Defender team, but I think it's punching up like 60k, something like that. 50k, 60k, somewhere in there. I can fast forward that. Alright, so I did take a second to kind of debate, is it worth using the Minerva ult this early, but then I figured, let's just put the bleeds on him, and I mean, I'm not too worried about this team, so let's just get the ball rolling. So, I do try the offense down on Crossbones so that the explosion isn't too catastrophic, and of course it's resisted, which is a bummer. I actually avoid using the Noble Basic because I don't want to remove the taunt, because then I won't be able to continue focusing Crossbones down and I need to take him out. So at this point I've done enough. He should just succumb to his bleeds, so I go ahead and try to take out this Drax here, but odds are that Noble was going to call for a Dispel assist, which is what happened, so then I end up getting forced to attack the Crossbones. So I figure, alright, rather than have Minerva eat a Drax counterattack, I'll just take him out. Let Thanos eat that counterattack. And then he has offense up, so I know he'll get those Dispels. And then I can focus whoever I want, go ahead and remove that buff and do even more healing. And you can see this team just has insane sustain, especially with Thanos' 2-turn taunt. The only person taking any damage is Thanos, and I know I have that Minerva special ready to go, which will revive Thanos and give him a ton of health. So that's what happens. Thanos goes down. It doesn't even matter who I choose here because everyone's getting ability blocked. And then Reaper takes out Night Nurse. I go ahead and revive Thanos, who comes back nice and healthy, 40% with 2 death proof. He heals himself even more, and then, I mean, I can fast forward this because this is just, you know, this is just beating up on these 2 sacks of potatoes. Alright, and then we finally bring Drax down. And I believe this is the 4th win in 8-3. So, speed this up a little bit here. Alright. And that's waiting for the team select window to pop up. Here we go. So this is a Defender team, so I'm not even really going to waste much time on this one. I'm going to have this in super, you know, let's go like 3 times speed. So try to pick villains if you're running the Punisher version of the Defenders team. But yeah, if you didn't know, the Defenders plus Punisher are sure to win Blitz team. The Defenders plus Miss Marvel are sure to win Blitz team. Pretty much the Defenders plus anyone are sure to win Blitz team, and that's what you're seeing here. So, yeah. Obviously I want to include them in the video so that you know that they're one of the teams, but I'm sure you guys can find a good video on why the Defenders work as well as they work, but they do. So, that is the 5th win in 8-3, I believe. Moving on. And so this team has not changed since last time, but for anyone who's new to the channel, who's just seeing this, I'm sure you'll have some questions. So this is the What Are You Blind team, and here's the general idea behind the What Are You Blind team. The first thing you need to know is that Iron Man and Merc Lieutenant have nothing to do with the team whatsoever. They're just there to do damage. Merc Lieutenant gives everyone speed up and offense up, so he allows people to do more damage, and then Iron Man does lots of damage, and he has a nice big unavoidable AoE and a single target nuke and a really potent basic attack, but those two are just there to hurt people. But the core of the team is Mordo, Loki, and Scarlet Witch. You can also use Mordo, Hand Sentry, and Scarlet Witch, and the general premise is this. Mordo gets to go nice and early. If you're running the Loki version, he gets early speed bar from being a Mystic Controller, just like Scarlet Witch, and he gets to put out a bunch of blinds. And if the enemy team has a bunch of blinds, they end up typically wasting a bunch of attacks. Scarlet Witch gets to go a little bit later, and she can extend those blinds, so anyone that did get blind, she will extend those blinds into 2-turn blinds, which buys you a lot of time. And then Loki's second turn, he's able to call down his summons and put everyone in a stealth except his summons, who typically have evade. So you have your blind enemies focusing summons with evade, so they're able to do very little damage, and basically you just have to whittle them away before they're able to actually start landing damage on you. And because a lot of times they tend to miss really big abilities while blind, by the time they actually regain their sight, they're just using standard basic attacks. So it doesn't much matter which damage dealers you use. I do recommend using someone with an AoE, so that if you get someone low and then someone taunts, you have the AoE to go ahead and finish off whoever that you had low. But it's just the power balance works out to keep this as my What Are You Blind team. But so I think I end up going with the team that you just saw. And be aware when you're using the What Are You Blind team, Daredevil has 200% accuracy because he's already blind. When you blind someone, you reduce their accuracy 100%. Reducing 200% accuracy by 100% means that he's still 100% accurate, which means Daredevil will still kick your ass. And if you have to focus Daredevil, that means Punisher is going to be upset about it, and he's going to be shooting at you. So this was a little bit of a risky play. And then on top of that, Yondu actually has 130% accuracy. Very few characters have above 100% accuracy, but it just so happens that this matchup is a character who's effectively blind immune, and a character that's has a chance to still land some significant damage even while blind. So this was a little bit of a risky matchup, but generally speaking, this team wins most matchups. Again, you don't want to go into the Defenders team, which will have really high resistance, and there's a good chance that the blinds may not land or something, but they'll win most matchups. So you'll see here, I know I need to get rid of Daredevil right away because he's going to ignore those blinds. So fortunately, I get the offense down from the Crossbones assist, but I know I want to blind Punisher because he's going to be shooting at me every single time I hit Daredevil. And right here, this is where the magic happens, because Punisher is now going to stay blind. It's unfortunate that the other blind landed on Crossbones. It certainly would have been better on Yondu or on Wolverine, but it landed on Crossbones. But Crossbones is going to taunt with his first turn and explode with his second turn, and that explosion doesn't care whether he's blind or not. So really the only blind I got was on Punisher, so most of the time this will go even better, because if Yondu or Wolverine had also been blinded, it would have been even smoother sailing, but we're still able to get this win, so it's not a big deal. Someone's taunting, but I know I want to drop Daredevil, so I drop that AoE. I have the offensed up Unibeam, so I go ahead and hit him with that, and then he's blind, so I guess I did save myself from the counter with that blind. I know Wolverine Or sorry, I know Yandu's about to AoE, so I go ahead and put up the defense ups and the deflects, so it saves me a bunch of damage there. And then offense down, Yandu is now the new biggest threat, and so rather than let him summon, I just go ahead and finish him off. And then you kind of gamble with these debuffs on Mordo and Scarlet Witch, because they'll apply 1 or 2 of, at random, either offense down, defense down, or slow. So in a situation like this, you're kind of always hoping for the slow, but depending on what you get, if it's a defense down, it's someone you can focus down. If it's an offense down, it's an attack you can ignore. So because I know the speeds, I know we can get more debuffs in while he's heal blocked, get a defense down, Wolverine revives, because of course he does, but hit him with another slow, and then I know he's just toast, and put him down for a second time. And there it is. I think that's the 6th. I might have lost count, but I think that's the 6th 8.3 win here. So, moving on. Alright, so a lot of people were very confused by this team. I am going to talk about this team in a bit, but the reason I'm not going to talk about them now is because I don't find a matchup for them right this second. I know I have to go back to them later in the rotation. So, my choices are defenders, or the reason I avoided this team is because they have a lot of defense. Crossbones is very tanky, Kingpin gives everyone 2-turn defense up, Captain America gives defense up, and they have potent AoE. They have a Crossbones AoE I probably wouldn't be able to stop. Might have been able to. Winter Soldier would probably just punch someone out because there's no tank on this team. So I end up just saying, forget it. I'll come back to that team later. Which is what you have to do. Sometimes if you don't find a good matchup, then you just got to go on to the next one and then go back when you can get a matchup you can win. Sometimes in 8.3, it's like that. Alright, but so here we have a Spider-Verse team. Oh, I hit pause, I didn't realize. But so, this is just your standard Spider-Verse team. I should have had the frame up, but it's okay. So you can see it's Miles, Spider-Man, Carnage, Venom, and Green Goblin. And I'm on the fence here because punching up 60k against a team like this, a lot can go wrong here. You've got Black Widow's speed up, which means they're going to get more turns than us, and if I'm not able to drop Hand Sentry low enough, I worry about him giving everyone the evades, but if I get stuck in attacking into Captain America. But fortunately, the Spider-Verse works pretty well because you have Green Goblin's passive constantly removing debuffs, so I don't absolutely love this matchup, but anytime you're punching up like 60,000 power, there's certainly things that can go wrong, but ultimately I end up going with that matchup, so let's get on with it. And again, I'm mainly doing the breakdowns for the teams that not a lot of people will understand how they're played. But so, some of the buffs get removed from the Green Goblin passive. We want to hit Hand Sentry as hard and as fast as we can. Want to rewind his turn meter, otherwise he'll give everyone the evades right away, and that'll be a huge pain. Venom doesn't actually care about evades, but everyone else does, so get a nice 3-person chain with the defense downs. This is unfortunate. I wanted to spread all those debuffs to Hawkeye, which would have been great, and most of the time will happen, but it just so happens Hand Sentry's a dick, and he evades, so the only thing that actually hits Hawkeye there is the heal block, which is a huge bummer. So I'm still working on Hand Sentry, and I'm trying to decide who I want to hit with this Carnage special, because I get more value using it here because it hits adjacent, so it'll hit Thor and Sentry. And ultimately what I decide, and I actually lose this gamble, is it should do enough splash damage to the adjacent targets, Thor and Sentry, that combined with that splash damage and those bleeds actually affecting Hand Sentry, it should drop him low enough that he doesn't use his special. And unfortunately, that ends up being wrong, and because I was still not sure it would be enough, I go ahead and fire the Miles AoE into the defense ups, which is another thing you shouldn't do, but again, it's because I really wanted to make sure that I could stop the Sentry evades. Everything I'm doing is to stop the Sentry evades, and that doesn't even end up working, but the Spider-Verse team is pretty solid, so I get the stun on Thor, so he's not too much trouble. Spider-Man getting stunned is a huge bummer, and then we do deal with those evades, but again, Green Goblin's passive does major work on this team anytime there's a Spider-Verse character's turn. And now we have them where we want them. There's only 2 visible, so I know that Goblin will take him out. And then I don't even want to use the Venom special on Hawkeye, but I do want to get rid of Hawkeye because he's the high damage character still on the field. He lands some blinds, which are really inconvenient because Miles misses. Fortunately, Green Goblin passive pulls Black Widow out of stealth there. And then OG Spider-Man goes down, which is unfortunate. We actually had a lot of bad luck here, but I know I'll be fine because I take Hawkeye out, so now I can start working on her. Venom is blind, so he misses again. Carnage's basics are very underwhelming when no one has any debuffs, and then Black Widow gets the chain, so Carnage gets in that final basic, but even with a bunch of unfortunate RNG, I know we're still going to be fine, so he blocks to have Miles remove the defense up, but then we get the Green Goblin passive that removes the defense up, so Miles is able to use the slow there and rewind the turn meter, which means that this Goblin special hits really hard into the defense down, and I go ahead and finish him off with letting Venom bite his head off. And that is the 7th Sure2Win Blitz team win in 8-3. Speed this up a little bit. So now I go back to this team, and I think if I remember correctly, I still don't find a matchup for this team. I get Defenders, a Guardian Avenger hybrid, and the team that I just fought, and so I say I'll just wait. There's a good chance that I could have beat at least one of those teams, but I'll just wait for a sure win. So there are a lot of teams that comp fights well into, so I will be going back into them. But I guess I should talk about this one. So this is the old meta comp. And this is Captain America, Black Widow, Quake, who are the core of the old meta comp. And then there is Yondu, who is additional Dispel and AoE and summons. And then finally, Shield Trooper. Now, if you're wondering, is Shield Trooper the best person for that spot? No. But I have everyone else from the Fury Shield team on the Fury Shield team. He was without a team. And so he's actually one of my more souped up damage dealers because I rotate him in on my Fury Shield team. And I used to use Deadpool in that spot, and it worked really well. But because Deadpool is now on the other team, which you're going to see, I'm pretty sure after this, he was the only damage dealer that it made sense to slot in here. So again, like I said, with a lot of these teams, this is not the absolute best old meta Avengers team. You know, you could absolutely throw like Vision and Scarlet Witch on here, Vision, Iron Man, War Machine. Like, there are better Avengers teams. It just has to be, good enough to win in 8-3. So, operating off that, I know that Trooper will put out enough damage to get them the win in 8-3. So I go ahead and take on this team here. So let's speed this up. I think I was debating if I wanted to go for a tougher matchup and get more points, because I wanted the amount of points I got to be really impressive, but I can't fight the Brotherhood team, and ultimately I decided, you know what, it's fine, I'll get enough points from the other matchups, so let's just go ahead and do this. So I've sped this up here. Alright. Alright, go ahead and throw that defense up. And because he got the energy to go ahead and AoE on turn 1, I just want to do as much damage to that Rocket and that Star-Lord as possible. Go ahead and drop those slows because I know that Thanos is going to taunt anyway. So I go for the chain. I know I'm not going to get the stun on Thanos, but I want the chain, which is exactly what I get. I think about using the shield throw here, but Captain is offense down, so I wait because I want it to do good damage. So go ahead and use the Yondu summons here. And again, why summons are good, Gamora wastes her ult and then her follow-up basic on summons. Go ahead and drop that AoE with the offense down here. And then I've got the Trooper special, which does a good chunk of damage, so I go ahead and hit him. And then, because the splash damage from Rocket hits someone standing near Trooper, he go ahead and kills him. And then I can drop Thanos, and you can see it's already over. Just, again, dealing with everyone's favorite sack of potatoes, Drax. And so I think that is the 8th win here in 8-3. And I think now I finally get to the interesting hero brawler team that people have been asking me about. And this team, I know I've seen this team around, so I certainly don't want to, have anyone thinking that I'm trying to pass this team off as my own. This is absolutely an existing team that plenty of people use. But when I showed people that I was using this team, a good amount of people were like, "What? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. That team looks terrible." So I wanted to make sure that I explained why it was going to work. So the concept here is pretty simple. You have Miss Marvel, who's a hero brawler. you have Daredevil, who's a hero, or sorry, Deadpool. Sorry, Deadpool is a hero brawler. Black Panther is a hero brawler, and you have Wolverine, who's a hero brawler. So it's 4 hero brawlers, all making use of the Miss Marvel passive for assists. And then the reason Storm is here is because any mutants on the team, she has, I want to say it's 50%, might be 40% or 50%, I forget, without oranges in her passive, because I don't have oranges in her passive. But she has a chance to assist on any X-Men or X-Force's turn, which is, of course, Wolverine or Deadpool. So you actually have the opportunity to get triple assists, which you'll see happen a few times in this match, where it'll be Wolverine's turn, and Miss Marvel will jump in because he's a hero brawler, but then also Deadpool or Storm will jump in because he's X-Men or X-Force. And then Black Panther is on here because with Miss Marvel, he's absolutely incredible, because if he gets a kill from assisting someone, he does get his reset, but if he gets a kill when someone assists him, he also still gets his reset. So I really enjoy playing Black Panther, especially with Miss Marvel. But so again, the Hero Brawler team, this is not the optimal Hero Brawler team. You can run Iron Fist and Daredevil on here for a really potent city hero brawler team. You can run them with Miles Morales and Spider-Man, who are excellent hero brawlers. You can put Gamora on this team. There's a lot of options, but I have to work with what I've got since I have so many other characters on other teams. So this is my mutant hero brawler hybrid, which is more than good enough to win in 8-3, as you're about to see. So I actually end up fighting a similar team. This one has the Storm, Deadpool, Wolverine as well, but it also has the Punisher and the Crossbones. So I'm actually more afraid of this team than normal matchups. I don't want to fight that one because of the tanks. I'll be just forced to attack the tanks the entire time, and if Spider-Man gets his defense downs on everyone, which he'll probably get him on a bunch of people, we'd be in a lot of trouble. But I'm more afraid of punching up the 50-something K against this team. I actually wanted to know specifically who's got the high red stars on this team, because this team is vulnerable to teams that do a lot of damage because they have no... Their only tank is Miss Marvel. They have a lot of squishy people, so this team is also a bit vulnerable to AoE. But this team plays a lot like the Spider-Verse. They do a lot of early damage. So this team is a bit of a, we're going to kill you before you kill us. So open up with that, and then get the assist from Miss Marvel there. And Storm calls in their assist from DP, which is exactly what's about to happen here when my Storm calls my DP. And then their DP goes and calls in Storm, and then that's exactly what happens here. My DP goes and calls in Storm. So a lot of mirrored RNG there. And then we have the Miss Marvel AoE, which calls in the BP. And then Storm assists on their Wolverine. And then we get Deadpool assisting on my Wolverine, but we also get Miss Marvel. So you've just seen the 3 attacks in one turn happen. I decided to go ahead and use the slow so we can put off this explosion here. No assist on Storm that time, whereas their Storm does get an assist, but that's okay because now I know that DP will finish him off, and Wolverine was ready to assist if he didn't. We lose our tank, but I know at this point that we're good. So I decide to go ahead and slow her so that we can get in one more turn so that she doesn't use her special, which is what she will do. Wolverine being below half, we get the offense up on his ult, which gets the bleed, so we trade 1 for 1, but my BP is able to get the kill, which means he gets another turn, so I go for the slow because I know BP will get in another turn before Wolverine goes, which is what you see here. And then we have the offense up charged BP, so we hit for a nice chunk of damage there. And then we get another kill because he's offensed up, and so this team is ready to rock and roll. So again, that one was a bit of a race. It wasn't my choice matchup, but I knew that we could win it. So that makes the 9th win in 8-3 here. And then the final 2 teams are very, very straightforward, very self-explanatory. And I'm sure that you guys will recognize them. This is the Brotherhood. It's the premier arena team. Of course, they're an effective blitz team. You don't need me to go into any detail. If you're not sure why the Brotherhood team is an excellent team, just read their kits. But the Brotherhood team is easily... it's got to be the most reliable blitz team. I mean, they're just untouchable on offense, really. So the defenders fighting into Brotherhood can do just fine. They're not untouchable on defense, but on offense, Oops, sorry. On offense, they're not really afraid of anything. So, just go ahead and finish off Wolverine, the sack of potatoes. And there's the 10th win. And then, of course, the final team, which I'll go ahead and fast forward through because you guys obviously knew this was coming. And that's Fury Shield. So you'll see Fury Shield here in action. And I just wanted to pick the opponent that was worth the most points. So this team is like 309,000 power, so they're worth 20 points. I'm not even going to slow it down. I'll leave it sped up. You guys know Fury Shield works, but if you didn't know, Fury Shield is easily also one of the most reliable teams in the game. So yeah, we just, you know, break this team down and get a fair amount of points for it. So I guess I can start wrapping up the video while these guys fight in the background. But so that is my current 11 fully unique Sure2Win Blitz teams. But again, most people won't have the rosters to run all 11 of them, but it's okay if you consolidate them and run stronger versions of, you know, 8 or 9 or 10 of the teams. But yeah, I think I'm getting this video out at a good time because tomorrow, I called today's stream the calm before the storm because tomorrow starts the Carnage, the second Carnage Blitz, which is going to be the Carnage Blitz that determines whether or not a lot of people unlock Carnage. And not only that, but it is an Orb Frag Drop Blitz, so you'll have a chance after every win to earn Carnage Orb Frags. So a lot of people are going to really go ham for Carnage, excuse me, just to try to get his orbs. And then it's also a Quarter Blitz, which means there's going to be 2 different 4-hour windows where as many Blitz refreshes as you want to do are only 5 charges each. So it's going to be complete and total pandemonium for 3 days. I'm just warning you now, when you see the Blitz predictions, they're going to be off the charts. Easily, it's going to be the highest scoring Blitz we've ever seen for so many reasons. So just be prepared for that. It's going to be a really crazy Blitz. But so for those of you that sub to the channel, perhaps I've given you guys a few new Blitz teams to work with, and maybe you can get a leg up on the competition if you were, you know, just outside of the next rewards bracket. Then I hope these teams help you out with that. But so there's a good chance that I don't do any new YouTube videos over the next 3 days on account of I'll be pretty much spending the entire time doing the Carnage Blitz, especially with 11 Sure2Win Blitz teams. But I will see you guys with plenty of new content after that. So thank you guys very, very much for tuning in. If you didn't know, I stream every single day at twitch.tv/Khasino, and that's at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Marvel Strike Force streams every single day. Otherwise, I will see you guys real soon. Peace!